Well, hello my friends, I hope you are doing well. Today I wanted to do something a little different than normal. It's been a while since I've done it, so today I want to take you through my current 2018, September 2018 desk setup. So I change my desk all the time. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that you've seen multiple monitors, configurations, lights, mouses, keyboards. You've seen a lot of different things. That's kind of my style, so I figured it might make sense to update you maybe a couple times a year because that's about how often it changes. So let's take a look at my current 2018 desk setup. So if you've been following this channel for a while, you know that I am a person that is pretty organized and pretty neat. So when you see my desk set up the way that it is right here, you may think that this is how I specifically made it super clean just for this video. And maybe I took one or two cables that weren't in the position that I hoped, but I keep my desk pretty clean. I'm someone that really likes to have my workspace very clean. It's gotta be wireless. It's gotta be set a certain way. Every time I leave my office, I put my mouse and my keyboard back to the exact spots that they were. I like things to be super organized, and I am not a minimalist by any means, but I do like to have my desk as clean as possible, as little cables as possible, and I like the creativity and just the actual work that I'm doing on the computer to be the only thing that I worry about. I don't want to have to worry about where things are. I don't want to have to worry about where charging cables are. I like to have it clean, predictable, and I like to always have it that way. So at the heart of my computer desk setup is this 2016 MacBook Pro. It's a 15-inch touch bar. It is spec'd out to the max that you possibly can, so it has 16 gigs of RAM. It has a quad-core i9 processor. They now make one that's even faster than this, but this is the fastest at the time. Max I could do with a laptop. It is phenomenal for what I use it for with Final Cut. The speeds are really fast, the render times, the exports, everything is great. I used to use an LG ultra-wide 34-inch monitor. That was my one single monitor that I used. I really liked it, but I ended up changing that monitor setup because I wanted to go to a 4K monitor. And when I switched to the 4K monitor, the one that I was most interested in was this LG ultra-fine 4K monitor. I absolutely love the monitor, but it's not big enough in its single configuration setup, so I actually went back to a dual monitor setup and using my laptop as the secondary screen. Now the reason I'm doing that is for a couple of main reasons. The reason that I chose this LG ultra-wide 4K monitor is for one huge reason. It is a USB-C monitor. Now what is incredible about that is that the single cable that plugs into this MacBook Pro actually charges the computer as well as provides the display to the actual monitor. And then it also has 3 additional ports in the back that I have external hard drives plugged into, my Apogee Duet system for my audio, and anything else that I need can be plugged in all with the single cable on the computer. And it's also nice because even though the monitor itself is a little bit more expensive than some of the monitors available, you actually get an additional power cable that way because the power cable that comes with the MacBook Pro, I can just leave in my backpack now because I don't need it here. That was a big selling point to me because when I do get up and go with my computer, I don't like to have to unplug all the power and put that in my backpack and make sure I remember it. So it's nice being able to just keep the power cable in my backpack and plug into the computer anytime I'm ready to sit down and use it. I really love that feature. So this MacBook Pro has a 1 terabyte SSD built into it, and I try to edit off of that SSD as much as possible. Now there are most times that I can't fit certain projects off it depending on the size of them, so I use a Samsung 1 terabyte T5 SSD drive, a super fast drive that I absolutely love. Now one huge thing to note, even though that is a USB-C powered external hard drive and the speed is very fast directly into the computer, you don't want to plug a hard drive that you are editing off of from a monitor, because even though it will show up and appear as though it's working correctly, the speeds are significantly reduced directly from the monitor rather than plugging into the computer. Now that's a huge deal if you're working with video footage, because if you get an eighth of the speed of the hard drive when you're plugging into the monitor, you're talking about an eighth of the speed to actually access the footage, buffer the footage, export the footage, import the footage, everything is much slower. So if you are planning on using an external hard drive to edit, I would always recommend that you plug it directly into the computer, no matter what computer you have. USB hubs are notorious for also slowing down your speeds. So that's super important for me to note. Now, most of the time I don't have to have the hard drive plugged in here. I use the SSD when I'm running out of space on this machine, but most of the time I have enough space to edit whatever current project I'm working on directly on the computer, which is very, very fast internal SSD, and that's how I prefer to do it. So we got the MacBook Pro running into the LG Ultrafine 4K monitor. Let's talk next about my peripherals. My absolute most favorite accessory that I've gotten in a long time is this Logitech MX Master 2S mouse. I have converted a ton of people to buy this mouse, and it's because it is literally the best mouse I've ever used. All the configuration buttons of it, the comfort of using it, everything about the mouse is amazing. I'm not going to go into all the detail because I did a full video about this mouse because I like it so much, so I will make sure that I link it somewhere right around here or here. I forget where they show up. Make sure you watch that video if you're interested. This mouse is incredible, and I will link it in the description below as well. I cannot recommend this enough if you are a video editor. However, if you are a left-handed video editor, I'm sorry, I don't know why they don't make this in a left-hand version, but this is a right-hand use only. I don't get it. Right next to this mouse, we have the full-size wireless black Apple keyboard that comes with the iMac Pro. The new iMac Pro is the first one to introduce this black wireless keyboard, and I really like it because it's wireless, but also because it has all the keys. Now, I'm not an accountant, so I don't really need these number keys for that, but I love the fact that all these extra keys to the right that I didn't have on my previous keyboard can be routed to shortcuts in Final Cut. If you know me, you know I love shortcuts, so when I can get a keyboard with more shortcuts, it's even better. And because it's black, it just sits super cleanly on my desk, and I love the way it feels. It feels identical to the way the actual keys on the MacBook Pro are, so it actually just helps it feel a little bit more natural since I'm used to typing on the laptop. So when it comes to audio, hiding behind my computer cleanly here is an Apogee Duet audio interface. If you are not familiar with audio interfaces, the interface is what connects my laptop to speakers and to microphones and anything that I hook into my computer on an audio side of things. I'm really big into audio, so I love having a nice clean preamp that I can use for voiceover stuff or for the podcast or anything that I'm recording. I use that as my only interface. Most of the time it stays in my office. I very rarely take it out of my office, but that's how I talk into my computer with two inputs. I also have the outputs routed to these M-Audio BX5 monitors. I'm super into audio. These monitors are not like the best monitors ever. They sound fine for what I use them for here, which is really just listening to actual stuff. I do not use them to actually mix because they're not very accurate. They're kind of very bass heavy, but they work for what I'm looking for. They're pretty cheap set. I think they're only about 150 bucks or 200 bucks for a set of these monitors, or a pair I should say, and they work good. I like them. I have little about 3-inch or 4-inch cushions underneath them. They're actually this acoustic foam just to raise them up so that they're more pointing where they're supposed to when I'm sitting at my desk. But like I said, they're not ideal, they're not incredible, but they do a good job. And if you've never had studio monitors before, you'll probably think that they sound great because they sound much better than the built-in computer speakers. Right next to the speakers on the right-hand side here, I have an Amazon Echo that I use for just about everything. If you have any Alexa devices, you will know that they become super addicting. So she controls all my lights in the room, she controls music, she controls a lot of different things. I absolutely love that. That works really, really well. And then next to that is this tiny little magnet device that its purpose is simply so that when you have cables like this and they don't keep falling down behind your desk, it's just a little magnet. So it sits there, holds the cable from not falling down. So I can hear you right now saying, oh my gosh, I need that. Well, the link is in the description. Moving on, all the way over to this side of the computer, I have my Shure SM7B. This is what I use for all my podcasts, for any voiceovers, for any Skype calls, all those things. This is just a really, really great sounding microphone. It's a very popular microphone for podcasting, for radio use, for singing. It's a great microphone. I highly, highly recommend it. I have it on this boom arm here, so it's easy to just kind of pull in front of me when I need to use it, and then put it out of the way when I'm not. So I bring it in here, I do any voiceovers, talking, all that stuff works really well. I have that running under the desk, which you cannot see, to a cloud lifter. If you don't know what a cloud lifter is, or you want to hear a little bit more about why I use a cloud lifter preamp for that microphone, I have another whole video on that as well, so I'll make sure I link that. That is just an additional preamp that gives even more clean gain, because this is a very low noise, low gain output microphone. So I'm not going to get super technical into it right now. I have a video though, if you want to watch it. That's more about that. So I got the Shure SM7B going into the Apogee Duet, which goes into my computer, which is being fed through the actual monitor. So everything, like I said, is being plugged into this single unit here for everything. For headphones, these things are super old, super beat up, but they still work, and I still think they're probably the best headphones you can buy for the price. These are only $100. These are the Shure SRH 440s. I've had these for about 7 years, as you can tell. I have them taped at the top, and they're one of those random things that I've bought a lot of things over the years, and I just still haven't gotten a new pair of these. They still work, even though they leave like tape residue on my head when I wear them. They just work. They're not the most unbelievable headphones you can buy, but they're fairly accurate for being only $100. And when I say accurate, what I mean is that they don't really heighten the frequencies and hype the bass frequencies, and they just make it sound fairly natural to what you hear. And when you are mixing audio, that's very important, so that you really can get a feel for what it's going to sound like when you don't have it on bigger speakers or subs or whatever it is. So I always make my final mixes on these headphones. I'm going to be getting a new set of better ones fairly soon, just so that when I am home and I'm mixing for a long period of time, I can have even better ones. But for now, these have been great. I really recommend these. They're only $100, like I said, and if you're looking for a new pair of headphones, check them out. The computer itself is sitting on this little curved stand. I'm not sure how good you can see that, but this is just a 12 South curved stand, it's called, I believe. I really liked this because I like the height that it sits at. Even if you don't use a dual monitor setup, it's really nice because it's like right kind of eye level with you. I really, really like that stand. It's built super solid, and it just works really well. It keeps at a nice height, and then this can go up and down really easily. So if you want it at a different height, you can adjust that, but it works great. All the acoustic foam that you see all around this area here is just designed to obviously really deaden the sound in this room so that it's not super reverby. When I'm talking in this direction, it's more reverby than when I'm talking into my microphone for voiceovers or anything that I'm doing. I have it designed that way so it's more lively in the room, because I like the way that music sounds when it's a little bit more lively when I'm listening to it. But when I'm talking into the mic for voiceovers or podcasting, I like that sound to be very, very dead. So when I am facing that way, it's much more condensed in there, and it doesn't sound so echoey in the actual room. But I didn't want to put the stuff all over the wall that I have on this side, which is why it's kind of more echoey this way. But these are just acoustic panels. I have 4-inch panels that are on this side of the wall. So the big huge ones you see on both sides, those are 4-inch panels. I have 4-inch panels all over, every about 36 inches around the whole room. That really kills a lot of the reverb and a lot of the sound in this room. And then I have smaller panels, which are just these right here. These are 1-inch panels, and they're just little 12 by 12 squares. And I just have a bunch of those all over the room. They don't really do that much, the little panels. The big ones do for sure. The little ones I kind of got at first, and they didn't do what I really was looking for. So now I just have them in the midst of the other ones, and it just kind of, I think, looks a little bit nicer. And it does a little bit. This area right here is the primary area that I really wanted to sound good when I'm talking in that direction. And that's really the main purpose. The office still isn't flawless, but I'm okay with that because I don't really do video production in here except for this vlog, which I can get away with not having perfect audio because it's a vlog. But that's gonna do it for kind of this brief little tour of my desk setup. I still haven't even done a full office tour because, believe it or not, the office is not even completely done yet. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I wanna do with certain areas. Once that's entirely done, I will do a full office tour. But for now, that's just a look at my desk setup. I like to keep things pretty minimal. I like a laptop because I can bring it with me, and I like having the same power when I leave as what I do when I'm here. I like to go to Starbucks. I like to go to other places that I can edit, and I like having a laptop that I can do it with rather than having to kind of haul around a desktop to do that. So yes, you can get faster desktops than laptops, but this works great for me. But thanks for watching. If you have any questions at all, feel free to. Sorry for the brief introduction. I'm really terrible with like desk setup tours because I got done doing the whole thing and realized I never actually even talked about like what desk I use. And this is like a desk setup tour. So sorry, the microphones are already off me. The lights are back to where I don't even remember where they were. So real quick, the desk that I use is just a cheap, super cheap desk from IKEA. I think it's probably like $25, including the 4 legs. It's just a black desk. I like the way it looks. It's super cheap. I wouldn't even necessarily recommend it, but I had to at least tell you what it is because people always ask. Now the chair, on the other hand, people always ask about this chair. This is actually from IKEA as well. I think it's like $200. I'll put a link if I can find exactly what it's even called, but I really liked it when I first sat on it because I really like this big back, because it's really supportive when you're sitting there, but it's also just comfortable if you're kind of leaning back. And if you're every once in a while taking a little break, you can kind of put your head back on it and not feel like it's just up the back of your back. I really like it. Everyone always comments on it because it's like really tall, but I love it. So that completes the tour.